Before we get started today with our garden to table segment from the Resilience Garden, we're going to sanitize our area because Rhea and I are both wearing our masks. We want to make sure that we maintain our social distancing and that we're being safe while bringing you this program. And so what we're going to use is sage. This is a medicinal traditional plant that we use for cleansing, not only spiritually, but also cleansing the room. And so what sage does is it kills about 90% of bacteria in the air, airborne bacteria. And so we're going to go ahead and clean out the area so that we can take off our masks and go ahead and present to you. So our sage that we're showcasing today comes from the Indian Pueblo Culture Store. This is our sage bundle, and you can get it online at indianpueblostore.com. So we're just going to leave our sage burning while we're doing our demonstration. We're going to go ahead and take off our masks for you. Guatsi Hopa, welcome to the Pueblo House. I am your host, Shannon Romero. I am the Cultural Education Specialist here at the Indian Pueblo Cultural Center. Along with me is my colleague. I'll let her introduce herself.
Hello everyone, my name is Rhea Thundercloud. I'm from San Diego Pueblo and I'm the Cultural Education Assistant.
So today Rhea and I are going to show you some different techniques to utilize the food that you're growing in your garden. So what we've done today is we've harvested a few of our plants that we have. We've harvested our basil, some mint, and some squash.
Basil loves to be pruned. The more you harvest, the more they grow. To start, you would trim 1/4 of an inch above the node. A node is where the little leaves start coming out from the stem. When you have fresh basil, it's best to use it immediately. I wouldn't recommend storing fresh basil in a fridge because they are very tender leaves. They prefer to be stored in a glass jar with water at room temperature. While approaching the wild mint, the aroma was released, blessing us with a refreshing smell. While you're picking mint, if you want a few leaves, pick from the top. For a larger harvest, you want to pick right before the plant blooms, when the flavor is most intense. You would cut the whole plant just above the second set of leaves. In the process, you will remove the yellowing lower leaves to promote a healthier, bushier growth. You can harvest the same plant 2 to 3 times in one growing season. To dry a mint, cut off the strips 1 inch above the soil. Wash, dry, and bundle together no more than 1 inch thick. Then hang upside down in a dark, dry place. Squash is one of the 3 sisters. Squash is a prevalent vegetable in Pueblo diet, and so we pick this with the utmost gratitude. While harvesting squash, they should feel firm, heavy in size, and show a bright and healthy skin and stem. You want to avoid dull and hard skin, soft spots, and a dry stem. Cut your squash from the vine rather than breaking them off. Squash is very susceptible to frost and heat damage, so you want to pick them all before the frost comes.
So what we're going to be preparing for you today is our indigenized pesto sauce and our zucchini noodles. So we're going to go ahead and start by taking off the basil plants off the stem. We as Pueblo people have always been taught to be sustainable, to respect our living things, and to give thanks for allowing us to harvest them and to use them in our meals to nourish us. But we don't want to waste any of our garden stuff, so you see I have some extra stems right here. So what we're going to do, we're going to put it to the side And then we're going to put it in our compost for next year's soil. So we don't want to waste any of our garden trimmings because they can be very beneficial to your soil. Also in our garden, we believe in creating a symbiotic relationship. So we planted our basil right next to our tomato plants. They benefit each other by helping each other grow better, and also attracting pollinators that help them to be pollinated and help us to have this great yummy food that we're about to eat. Some of the pollinators we do have here in New Mexico are bees, flies, moths, butterflies, bats, you name them, and we have them here in New Mexico. So we are just about done.
So we're going to get our food processor. We're going to add in the basil first. 2 cups of basil, put the lid on, lock it in, and that looks good. Now we're slowly going to add in some olive oil to our mix. Make sure it's locked in. Okay. Let's just add it all in. And that is 2 cups of olive oil into the 2 cups of fresh basil. Alright, that looks good. Now we're going to add in 1/4 cup of pepper, black pepper. Then we're going to add 2 teaspoons of
Pine nuts.
pine nuts.
That's how we are indigenizing our recipe. We're adding pinon pine nuts from New Mexico. Okay, now we're going to add 1 to 2 garlic cloves depending on the size. So we're going to add 2. And blend it up. And last, we're going to add 1/2 teaspoon of Sea salt.
sea salt. Okay, so the texture, I think it could be mixed up a little bit more. Could be a little more thick, so I think we're gonna process it just for a little bit longer. Okay, that looks good. So if you notice, all the ingredients that we use have no dairy. So basically this is a vegan pesto, because everything is plant-based. So now we're going to get our fresh zucchini. I am going to cut it on each end, and we're going to use our zoodle maker. So let's just cut the stem off on both sides. And that is just so it can lock into the zoodle maker. So from here, I'm going to grab the zoodle maker. So we're going to take one end. Oh, let me make sure it's straight because that is a key component for our zoodle maker. So I'm just going to cut that piece off. Then we're going to bring it in. And lock it in on one side and the other side. So we have it like so. Now we begin our zoodle making. So now we're going to start our zucchini pesto pasta. So zucchini can be served hot or cold. In this case, we're going to serve it cold. And it's just another alternative to, it's just like a noodle. So anything you eat with noodles, you can add chicken, you can add shrimp, you can add any type of sauce, marinara sauce, Alfredo sauce, to make it to your liking. In our case, this is a pure plant-based dish. So this is our zucchini noodles, and now we're going to add some of the pesto sauce on top.
So I'm going to just pour the pesto sauce and incorporate it in our dish. So now that your pesto sauce is poured on top of your noodles, you're just going to want to lightly mix. To incorporate all the ingredients together. This smells really good. And then I'm going to go ahead and plate. So now we're going to garnish with a little bit of our piñon pine nuts. Of course, if you have nut allergies, you're going to want to skip this part. This just helps give it a nice nutty texture. And then I'm going to just add some of our beautiful red amaranth leaves. Amaranth is a really beneficial plant. It grows wild in cultivated gardens or farming areas. It's very beneficial, has many nutrients and vitamins, and it's very delicious. And this is our completed dish, our zucchini noodles and our homemade pesto sauce. Thank you for joining us today in our Garden to Table segment at the Resilience Garden.
I would just like to note before you eat, I invite you to take 3 mindful breaths just to give thanks to the garden, the land, and the process to create and nourish our bodies with this yummy food.
Come on, Rhea, let's try it.
It smells good.
Get some nice nuts. Yum.
Alright, this is a long grab.
Oh, so good and refreshing. Perfect for a summertime meal when you don't want to warm up the house. Turn on the oven. You can really taste the basil. You can taste the garlic and the pine nuts. The basil is such a strong, yummy taste, fresh basil. Thank you very much for joining us. Now I'm gonna eat some more.